We're live. Triple T, number 115. 115. Oh my goodness.
That's exciting.
March 12th, 2024. Who'd have thunk it? And for those of you on YouTube land, hi, Mom. And my name is TJ Zebill. I call myself a professional problem solver. I always follow that up with, no, I don't know everything. I just have a unique way of asking lots of interesting questions to help people get to the bottom of their challenges, problems, and all the above. I help people with depression, anxiety, phobias, PTSD, relationship challenges. I work with I work with athletes from beginner all the way up to professional level. And I also offer corporate coaching and help people with public speaking and a few other things. I have a website, thetswb.com, the tall skinny white boy.com. Yes, that's actually what that stands for, because I'm very cereal. And if you gotta be cereal in this day and age, at least be a Fruit Loop or chocolate, then you get some chalky milk when you're done. You know. What else we got? Oh, time to introduce the tie of the week. Here we are. Yes, that's right. I got a little poo on my tie, but I also got a little Tigger and a little Eeyore. Oh, bother. And make sure you got your questions and your topics ready for hour number 2. That's right. We're going to be here for 2 hours. First hour, I will be going over do my best to get through 3 topics. Yeah, for those of you that were on last week or watched the recording for last week, yeah, we barely got through the first one. That happens. Second hour is open to anybody on the call. Open mic, open platform. Any questions, topics you have, bring it up. I let everybody on the call answer first because I like to learn as well. And if I've got any 2 cents to offer up at the end, I will do that at that point. But enough of that. Let's see if anybody has anything awesome they would like to share from the last 7 days. Anybody? Anybody?
My course is live.
Yes.
I'm extraordinarily excited. It is titled Eat, Love, Heal, and it is so Eat, Love, Heal, Healing Emotional Eating with Compassion, and I am extraordinarily excited. I posted about it yesterday, and people are signing up. I'm looking for 20 remarkable women who are ready to say goodbye to emotional eating and everything attached to emotional eating, including guilt, shame, and body hatred, and who are ready to be so excited to have an amazing relationship with food and their body. So I will post that on our live chat, and by all means, welcome. And we launch next Thursday. So I'm so excited.
Next Thursday. Awesome. Spread the word.
Amazing. Congratulations.
Uber super proud of you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Anybody else got anything they want to share from the last 7 days? Yes, no, maybe so. Well, I'm going to do a shout out to some buddies of mine at Little Cattle Company. Steve Little and my buddy JP, they will actually deliver, they will mail, UPS send you some of the best beef on the planet. And just got a shipment today. Some steaks and a roast, and looking forward to it. So again, if you guys get a chance, go online, littlecattleco.com, #littlecattleco. Look them up. Tell them TJ from the TSWB sent you. And without further ado, let's see if we can get through 3 topics tonight. And the topics of the night, get this here. We're going back to the basics again, see if we can get through 3 topics again tonight. So self-talk, ABT, and PPP.
Might want to elaborate and follow up on that one.
I'm sure that created a little self-talk right there, like arr, arr. Self-talk. We have been exposed to and understand the massive amount of importance around self-talk. And there's no getting around it. You can, I would challenge any person on this planet to try to convince me for a second, well, I don't have any self-talk. My answer would be, well, then how did you come up with that answer? Somewhere inside there was a little voice that went, no. So now that we've established that every human being on the planet has self-talk, the challenge is who's talking, what are they saying, where did the information come from, is it true, is it viable, is it helpful? Then what are you going to do about it? In fact, I had a little aha epiphany just before we started. Even on this tie, who are you? Are you Pooh? Are you Tigger? Are you Eeyore? And if you look at the rest of the characters in Poohville, are you the owl? Are you Piglet? Are you the mama bunny? Or are you the little bunny?
You mean Kanga and Roo?
Yes, thank you.
There you go.
I knew there would be an expert on the call. Or are you Christopher Robin? The one with the imagination, who has all of them and if you are, who's your primary and why? And I think we've all met different people who have very recognizable main characters. And we know what it feels like when we get around Eeyore. A little dark cloud that hangs around and rains puddles all over your bright day. Now, do you want Eeyore to come into your environment and rain all over your beautiful day? Some days it seems a little more challenging to ask him to stay outside because he's still a buddy or a family member or a coworker or a neighbor. The challenge is don't forget who you are and who you want to be. And little squirrel just dropped this in. who has pictures that they could show somebody of a time when their life was awesome, awesome, awesome. Oh, that day was awesome. Where do you keep that picture?
Pretty out in the open. Probably in a frame.
There should be a good print of that somewhere in your house where you can look at it and remind yourself that there are times when life is pretty freaking awesome. Because we're all going to have those days that even we have a little too much Eeyore in us. Dog pooped in your canoe. Dryer ate your favorite sock. Went to go have some cereal, and not only was there not enough milk, but when you poured it out, it came out in lumps and ruined the cereal. And you need somebody, somewhere, somehow that you can remind yourself this is just another day. It'll only be a pattern if you allow it to. Now, Mark, I just saw your message. Sorry to hear it, dude. Let's see how quickly you can let this get through and be another victory and challenge.
Yeah, an unwanted hitchhiker in my body.
Yeah, right. And
I like the way you phrased it, though.
And some of you know that I had surgery on both my legs about 3 weeks ago. And I'm finally getting to where I can sleep through the night. But I have random bouts of forgetfulness that I still want to be as active as I was a month ago. So yesterday I put on 26,000 steps. Today my right leg is going, no. And we're going to remind you, not yet. So today I've got 12,000 steps on, and I'm feeling that compounded with the 26 that I put on yesterday. But I know that 2 weeks ago, hitting 1,000 steps felt like crawling across glass shards in both legs. So we're moving forward. And I dealt with a lot of self-talk. This too shall pass. Yeah. But today, we'll get back to where we were before, even healthier. When?
What you tell yourself.
And being as independent as I am, giving myself permission to allow my wife to do some of my chores around the house and get up before me and make coffee, because sometimes I didn't feel like getting up at 6 a.m. and telling myself that I didn't have to feel guilty about it. but I did. Because that's part of me. So when you look at the self-talk that you're dealing with on a daily basis, again, the voices that are in there, are they yours or are they somebody else's? Are they helping you through your day, or are they limiting through your day? Are they allowing you to grow, or are they restricting your growth? Are they allowing you to meet new people to add to your tribe? Or are they telling you that you can't meet new people and everybody out there sucks and you're better off hiding in a hole? Are the voices directing your forward path by staring in the rearview mirror? There's a reason why vehicles have a windshield this big and a rear view mirror this big. This one is to remind you where you came from and some of the lessons that you learned. This one is to remind you of all the potential places you can go, utilizing the lessons you learned from that little space. And if this one's controlling, sometimes rip the damn thing off, throw it in the back seat, and just drive. You never know where you'll end up. And some of you went, yeah, I know. How am I going? I can't drive without knowing where I'm going to go. Where's the map? Where are the rest stops? Where's the fuel? What if we end up on a dead end? Turn around. It can't be that simple, because like if we get on a dead end, I mean, like there could be a volcano there. We could just boom and be done. Yeah. Or it could be a good place for you to take a little rest stop, get out of the car and look around and see what's there. Climb the highest peak in the area and take a look around. Not so that you can look down on Earth, but so you can see how far you've come. And it's funny that I married an avid hiker. I'm not a hiker, I'm a biker. And I'm not talking pedals, I'm talking, V-twin, noise, two wheels. I'm a biker, but I hike because I love a hiker. One of the cool things about hiking, though, is you stand at the bottom of the hill, mountain, incline, and you go, wow. Okay, one foot in front of the other. Sometimes you have nice clean paths and sometimes not so much. And you just keep hiking and hiking and hiking. Sometimes you get off path and you could end up on the edge of the cliff and go, well, not going any further this way. But sometimes you get to a peak and you look out, and it's a view that you would never, ever been able to enjoy down there. And then you look around and you go, okay, we parked way down over there. That's our car. But look at that lake over there. How do we get from there to there? Because I bet there's some good fishing over there. And you had no idea there was even a lake in the Tri-County area until you got up there. How do you learn new stuff? Meeting new people, new experiences. Yeah, but I'm not a people person. Even introverts will meet people. Even if it's just on the phone or through text or whatever, unless they are absolutely either fully challenged, that's a different story, or on a deserted island with no access to internet, phone, or anybody else. Some people would think that that is the place. I don't know that I could do that very long. I've learned that I enjoy learning things. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. And to meet smarter people, I have to venture out. And if you were on the call last week, what did we cover? The trifecta. The master key to conversation with human beings. And so if you weren't here last week, or if you're watching this recording and you're like, trifecta, go watch last week's recording, number 114. First hour, we got through two of the components of the trifecta, me being three. But luckily, somebody brought up the third one during the second hour, and we got to touch on the third part, which completed the trifecta, or else we would be talking about that today. So this is obviously a very generalized overview of the concept of self-talk, and there are many, many, many avenues and facets. And as Dr. David Snyder would love to always said, if this is everything I could talk about regarding self-talk, we got time for that much. Barely. That, in fact, that's pretty generous for the amount of time that we have to cover everything that you could cover in self-talk. Mark.
I even taught an autistic kid the trifecta, and he because I believe autistic kids, they're frustrated by their lack of ability to socialize. So I taught it. We practice it, and he was able to form some relationships. It's kind of a mechanical way, but he was able to, change his whole life because he was able to internalize that the trifecta. So
Thank you for that, because more proof the trifecta is the master key to unlocking conversation for 99.999999% of the world's population. And the ones that aren't included, as Freud would say, they got some issues. Before we change topics and go on to the next one, anybody else got any ahas, epiphanies, comments about self-talk? Mark.
I just wanted to add in that my worldview is that the self-talk creates the internal dialogue, and the internal dialogue creates the superstructure on which our reality is based. So those things that are always, circling and stuff like that, and learning how to edit that internal dialogue and install some really powerful, self-talk. And one of the ones that I try to get people to internalize is, whatever else is going on around you, I'm a rock in a sea of chaos. And if you repeat that enough, it gets, use thought stopping, and you get that into the internal dialogue. Doesn't matter how bad the shit show goes, is around you, because after the storm blows through, what's still there? You, the rock. So it's a very powerful affirmation, piece of self-talk that, once it's added to the internal dialogue, doesn't matter what's going on out there. What's in here that matters, and that whatever is going on is temporary, and it will fade away.
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you for sharing. And somebody who's actually done a TED Talk on self-talk and has a course called Inner Thoughts. Close, so close.
I love self-talk. I didn't realize how awful my self-talk was until I started to work with someone. And I know I have absolutely mentioned that I've worked with TJ, and he's been fantastic. And what I really started to notice when you work with coach, or when you work with somebody who's an expert in this area, is they're listening for certain things, and that's a good thing. And it's not to put you down, and it's not to make you feel bad. It quite literally is to help you see a different perspective. And one of my favorite lines right now, and I certainly did not come up with this, I'm quite sure of it, but change your language, change your life. Because especially when we start to look at language, language is not just the words we speak, it also is our facial expression, our tone, how we move through the world. It's all language. And our nervous system has a totally different language, which is a totally different rabbit hole. But it's really important to start questioning your own thoughts, because mine really terminated and I didn't question things. And especially when I first started, TJ would point out certain things. Well, out of curiosity, what makes you think that way? How do you know? And as you start to peel back the layers, as you start to become a detective and really investigate and say, verse, I have a thought, verse, here's a thought, let's look at this, it becomes a completely different approach. And you can really get that perspective, a lot like when you're hiking. You didn't know that there was a lake up there because you never really examined that trail. Same thing. You didn't know that there was a different perspective to that thought because you didn't examine it in a new way. And the more you talk with people and hear their perspective, it's fascinating to see how your thoughts start to shift. And especially if you're wanting to make progress on something and you're thinking, I'm stuck, shifting just one or two words. What might else I do to become unstuck? Or what might it feel like if I wasn't stuck? And having that dynamic ability to just introduce new words. If you do nothing else, and I used to think your self-talk was like, I'm positive all the time. It's definitely not. But
Yeah.
when you start to introduce new words of might, yet, how else, and change the tone of voice in your head, your entire world will start to shift rapidly, extraordinarily rapidly.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for asking.
Those that have been around me long enough have probably heard me more than one time going, "Did you just say that? What? Did you just say that about yourself? What?" And it used to sadly amaze me the comments people would say about themselves without even hearing them. And I would say if a stranger walked by and said what you just said about you to you, what would your reaction be? Or if you heard them saying those things behind your back and you caught it on a recording, what would your reaction be? Then why are you saying it about yourself? You're the person that you're stuck with your entire life. Careful what you say. You might actually believe some of the words, which means it's kind of like the Henry Ford quote: "The man who believes he can, the man who believes he can't are both correct." Holly.
Okay, so I have kind of a question with all of this. So I had been thinking about this adaptation of an old fable. Those of you who are familiar with the grasshopper and the ant. Basically, I added a third creature to the story called the beetle. So the grasshopper, of course, basically, so when winter is coming, right? And the ant says winter is coming, and I have the capacity to prepare for that. And so the ant works hard, stores up food to make it through the winter. The grasshopper basically thinks, oh, winter's never coming, goes around, plays hard, and doesn't do any work. But the beetle believes winter is coming, but no matter how hard I work, I can never prepare. And so the beetle gets discouraged and doesn't prepare either. So, of course, when winter comes, the ant is the one in the best situation. So I guess my question is, how can we make sure that we're doing kind of that balance when we're talking about, because I mean, I do believe in the power of words and the power of manifestation and it becomes, but I do believe that, there are going to be winters in our life too. And just pretending they don't exist is not the same. The movie Ants, I believe the movie Ants was based on the fable. Yes. But how is it that we can do that balance of preparation without causing additional winters in our life, if that makes sense? And are also not getting discouraged like the beetle.
I have I'm going to do my best not to cry. I have a very lovely friend who's unfortunately experiencing a lot of difficult times in her life right now. And she didn't know winter was coming, and she didn't know winter was coming and going to turn into nothing short of a very difficult, extraordinarily long winter. Her mentality right now is amazing. There's so much hope and so much light and so many people surrounding her with the best intention, with the most love, with the most cheering support. And I think it's going to serve her so well, but also it is what's carrying her through the winter. She didn't know it was going to happen. And she created such a lovely life for herself and her family with the tools, with the techniques, with the positive mindset, with all the things that we've learned about. And she was doing her best and she was succeeding beautifully. And then winter came, and then a longer winter is present for her right now. And we don't know what will come, but her mentality right now is what is carrying her through the winter, because it is incredible to see her and to love her and to support her, even in what most people would collapse and not get out of bed.
Absolutely.
I don't know if that answered your question, Holly.
Absolutely.
To me, that's what carries us. I can't tell you if I will get sick or something like that, but the mindset that I have is I'm going to do my best to stay as healthy or to accomplish all these things that I want to accomplish. I will do my very best, and I will, if I go to my deathbed and I'm laying there and I'm thinking, I did my best, I tried so hard, I'll be okay with that.
Yep. 100%. And I know who you're talking about, and you know I do. And yeah, if you listen to her self-talk without looking or knowing, if you were to talk to her on the phone right now, aside from a few slight things you might notice, you would never know the depth of what she's surviving through right now. And that is crucial. And I fully believe we all have our seasons. I've had a few winters. Those of you that know me well, no, I've had a few winters that were not expected. And I've had some amazing springs and some pretty frickin' awesome summers and some mighty kickback falls. Mom's watched me through some pretty crazy stuff, right, Mom? But I also was blessed with tribes, peeps. And I've always been good at collecting my tribes and my peeps. Growing up in the way I did in a tiny village in middle of farmland, Minnesota, then, but being lucky enough to escape. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way, because I do have some friends that never left. And even though we're still buddies, I can only go home for about a week, 10 days. And then I got to bounce. Simply because I don't fit in that box anymore. Hey, Mike. Good to see your face again, buddy. But again, you have to be very careful of your self-talk. And the more you start to pay attention and get good at listening to the thoughts and the comments run around in your head, the easier it is to not only question and control them, but you also start noticing other people's language and how other people make you feel. Lenora.
wanted to add really quickly, especially when it comes to self-talk. I had this perception that I would never have another negative thought again. I don't know where I got this. I'm pretty sure I got it from Disney because you'll live happily ever after. Pretty sure. What I have come to notice is I do still have negative thoughts, hands down. How quickly I navigate through them, how quickly especially when I feel like I'm having a down day or a down period of time, however long it lasts, what am I doing to bring myself up? And remembering those tools, sometimes I think, take yourself out of it, Lenora. Go send out, I'm thinking of you text messages to 20 people, and that will bring me up. Go listen to music, that will bring me up. Go do a to-do list, whatever it is that will get me out of here and out into the world, helps to bring me up. And if it's another thing where it's saying, something's really bothering me, hey, no problem. Go sit with it. And I have been known to procrastinate that, but I've also been known to diligently look at my habits and say, okay, I know this pattern, Lenora. You're avoiding something and you need to go take care of it. Those, I think, are all tools for me on how I navigate the day, but also how I will navigate if a winter comes. I don't know if it'll come. It may not. It may. Don't know how cold it'll be or how long it'll last if it comes. But that's what I'm carrying with me. Those are the tools that I'm carrying in my backpack along the way.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. And Squirrel just delivered this as well. Find yourself somebody you can talk to. And don't deny them the privilege of helping you in the winter. So many people, oh, I didn't want to bother you. Well, now I'm bothered because I know you were going through a winter and you didn't give me a call. And I know I've been guilty, right here. Mister, I can fix everything. But sometimes we forget how good we felt when somebody reached out and we were able to help them. But when it's time for us to ask for help, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm just fine. Listen to my voice. I'm fine. Just leave me alone. I'm fine. No, you're not fine. Let's talk about it. Don't want to talk about it. Until you start talking about it. And then you get it figured out, fixed in a fraction of the time it would have taken you to fight through it yourself. So let other people help you. There's no glory in the suffering. Make it a memory. I'd rather have it a badge on the wall than one that you're creating by carving it out of your happiness. Okay? All right? Everybody, on the call, everything. You all know how to get a hold of me. I got websites, I got phone numbers, I got emails, I got tribes. They know how to get a hold of me. Can't get a hold of me? You got peeps here. Good perspective, Mike. Part of it may be that the person in the winter has their reality closed in around them and they're not able to find their way out. A true friend will see that and help. Yeah, that's why I say you hear the voice. I'm fine. No, you're not. Nope, I know you. You went from Tigger to Eeyore. I know who Eeyore is. Holly.
Wonderful things everybody's saying. I know this is probably kind of obvious and everyone probably knows it, but just also that reminder of Dr. Daniel, is it Amen or Amen or however you say his last name, talks about, the automatic negative thoughts, speaking of ants. And so just kind of a quick overview. Like I said, I'm sure we're all familiar with this, but when you're having those, it says, catch the thought, write it down, and then examine the evidence for and against your thoughts. And some of the categories they have for the thoughts, I'll just run through them real quickly. You have all or nothing thinking, overgeneralization, a mental filter, which is when you pick out a single negative detail and dwell on it exclusively so that your vision of all reality becomes darkened. Disqualifying the positive, which I know TJ likes to point this one out to me a lot. Jumping to conclusions, which includes mind reading and fortune telling. So, mind reading, thinking you know what somebody else is thinking, fortune telling, anticipating the future. Magnification, catastrophization, or minimization. Emotional reasoning, should statements, labeling and mislabeling, and personalization. And obviously we could probably do an hour on each one of those categories, but I just thought I'd do that highlight of a reminder.
Yes, and I am so glad you found that and pointed that out. For those of you watching the recording, for those of you that are watching live, find the recording, find this part 46 minutes in, and rewind and listen to that about 12, 15, 20 times. The better we get at analyzing these thoughts, the better we have control over them. And the better we have control over them, life becomes easier in here. And when it's easier in here, I promise you it gets easier out there. I know. I've been blessed to help a number of people open up the window and go, oh, it was dark in here. There's a whole world out there. What the what? Uh-huh. And it's been waiting for you to get over this stinking thinking. And here again, we got 10 minutes to cover 2 subjects. People are going to stop believing that we're going to cover 3. Some days there have been a couple of times, you guys were here, that we covered all 3 in the first half hour, and then I had to come up with people. So, okay. Anything else we can add to the self-talk before we move on?
I mean, I feel like I could do a dissertation on it some days.
Don't get me wrong. Like I've said, if this is everything that I could talk to you guys and teach about self-talk, I got time for that much. But the next one kind of ties in a way. ABT. What is ABT? All of my peeps who've been here for a while. Say a little louder so they can hear you.
Always be testing.
Always be testing. How much?
How much? Always.
Always. Yes. Always be testing. Always be testing. Always be testing. Always be testing. And to be testing, you have to be paying attention, looking at things that are going on, and that includes your self-talk, right? Always be testing. Includes lots of things: your energy, your mood, people around you. If you're around somebody, how are they doing? If you're in a relationship, Where are you at? If you're not in a relationship, does this person with being in a relationship in? Get really, really good at testing. And watch the mindset of where you are and why you're testing. Some people believe testing is just to eliminate things. No. Testing is good or bad, or what you make of it. It's just another tool. But you have to be good at it to keep track of where you're at. I'm going to tie this in with Triple P because I've got 8 minis left in my hour. Triple P, perfect partner protocol. Notice I didn't say perfect person. Yes, this is my protocol that I put together for those with relationship challenges. Whether you're in a relationship, looking for a relationship, looking to get out of a relationship, it's for dealing with relationships. And ABT is a huge factor in Triple P. If you're looking for somebody to be in a relationship with, woo, get good at ABT. Learn how to figure out who they are before you get all them strings and heartstrings and all that time stuff invested where you feel that now I'm too invested, even though I found out that they're kind of candy-coated psychosis. I can fix them. Nope. Nope. And I'm going to share story of 2 of my clients right now. One is about 3/4 of the way through ABT and just did a nosedive. And the other one is about 15 months into Triple P and just had another mind-blowing download. Oh my goodness gracious, and her life is going to be a lot of fun for a while. The first one I'll tell you about, patience is probably not her virtue at the moment. She wants her king 20 years ago. 10 years ago would have been fine. 5 years ago, what the hell's going on? And 2 years ago, it's never going to happen. And then came to me about 8 months ago. And had just met this guy. And then I tell her about Triple P, and you're not going to be in a committed relationship for a year, and da-da. And oh, that was a fun discussion. But in 6 months' time, said person that she allowed herself to get connected to revealed that he is not a king. Not even really a jack. He's about a 10. The problem is his good stuff is really good. His bad stuff, no bueno. And violates her values and criteria on about 5 different subjects. And she is beating herself up and angry at the universe and allowing Eeyore to completely take over her self-talk. because she wanted her king 20 years ago, and now she's invested 6 months with this dude who could be a king, should be a king, has amazing things to be a king. Why can't you be a king? I'm like, because he has this stuff which you can't. If you're going to deal with this, how long will it take before this vinegar completely ruins the punch? Yeah, but look over here. And now she's on a vacation in the Caribbean by herself with a dark cloud that almost covers the entire island. And to no surprise, there are no attractive men on the entire island. Not one. Everything sucks. I'm never going to meet my king. Oh my God. Now flip to the other one who just walked away from a guy who proved he was a 10. And his good stuff was here, and his bad stuff was definitely here. ABT. And her inner voice went through a little bit of, we're going to be alone. I should have him back. And we talked today, had a little session, and Triple P finally set in the entire vision. And she went, wait a minute. Why am I so focused on these guys that I learned great lessons from, had a great time with for a short time, and realized they weren't my king? Meeting people is easy. All 4 of them I met very easily. Very easy. I should go out on as many dates as I can. 100 dates in 100 days. I could write a book. I went, and I'm going to test every one of them. And she's already got 3 dates lined up since this morning. Her inner voice, I'm going to go out and I'm going to research and figure out what exactly my king is. And I'm Mark Aceta, brilliant trainer that I got to meet while I was in a company called World Ventures, did this edutainment training that he called The Gambler. And in it, he points out how many aces are in a deck of cards. 4. How many kings? How many queens? How many 10s? How many 8s? How many 2s? If you want to get to the king or the queen or the ace as quick as possible, how do you do it? Flip them cards as fast as you can. You don't sit there and flip one and go, oh, an 8. Oh, come on, you could be a king. You could be a king. All you got to do is change. You could just, and I could help you. I could take a Sharpie. I could put K on there. You could look like a king. No. Oh, that sucked. Okay, next card. 2. Oh, you suck. All right, well, maybe I just suck at this. Do one more. You got 52 left, or 50 left. Yeah, but I've flipped 2 of them, and neither one of them was a king. This is never going to happen for me. Oh, this sucks. Getting new cards is so hard. I had to go flip. Oh, look. A 10. Oh, a 10. That's the best I've had so far. That must be what I have to have. That must be it. That's the best I've had so far. A 10. It's a 10. Look, and it's that close to a king. It could be a king. You could be a king. Or maybe I could let myself shrink down to a 10 so I could match you. No. You're a queen. You're a king. You do not shrink to a 10. You do not shrink to an 8. You do not put a Sharpie on the card and go, hey, you're a king. All these little flaws don't exist. You flip the cards as fast as you can. It's never going to, she got hers on the first flip. I could never be that lucky. Well, not with that stinking thinking, you're right. But you don't know where the king comes from. Like I pointed out to the one on the Caribbean island. He might be butt ugly, but he may not be your king. And he may invite you out for supper at a restaurant where your king notices you because he's sitting with a butt ugly 10 because he couldn't meet somebody. But if you walk around like Eeyore with that big ass cloud over your head, you're not going to meet him anyway, because who's going to want to hang out with soggy pants Eeyore? I know which one is probably going to find her king the quickest. And even if they find their king on the same day, 3 months from now, I know which one is going to have the best stories and have the most fun in those 3 months that pass, because the time is going to pass regardless. So self-talk, ABT, PPP, all in one little roll-up. Delivered. 4 minutes over. And now it's time for hour number 2. Any questions, topics, ahas, epiphanies? You can even comment on what we did before, because this is your time.
So I've been married for quite a while, but I think your humor brings a level that would have been extraordinarily helpful to my younger self, because I know my other self, my many selves, think your humor is hilarious. But I think you bring a level of humor to something that can be very emotionally intense for people, and you make it much more playful, and people can then approach it differently, which is, I have no doubt, why your client today had such massive, oh my God, that's what he's talking about. And it just lines up, because you change the intensity of somebody's thoughts and you make them much more curious and playful and victorious.
What are the 6 pillars of power that we rely on? Playfulness, victoriousness, relentless, curiosity, safety, and love. Not one of them is confidence.
I'm curious for the people that do like to hear about Triple P. Do you find his humor helpful? I find it very helpful. So I was just curious.
Definitely.
Oh, I thought so, Holly. Huge difference.
That's why I tell everybody, you can't be too serial. But if you got to be cereal, at least be like a Fruit Loop or a Count Chocolate. At least you get chalky milk when you're done. Holly.
Okay, so I have a response that, interestingly enough, feeds right into the question I had for the second hour anyway. So I was kind of thinking when you were talking, one of the things I heard somebody once say is people have their filters backwards when it comes to whether it's friends, whether it's tribe, whether it's people you're dating. So I'm going to use the castle analogy. You've got the grounds you can invite them on. Maybe you invite them to the feast. Maybe you invite them to the throne room. Maybe you invite them to the bedchamber. There are different levels of access. And most people are so impatient and want that immediate connection with somebody. They want to bring them straight to the bedchamber. And I got to make sure, they're good enough for that, whatever. And so part of the problem is, we just met. I should be deciding if you're allowed on the grounds. That's literally all I'm deciding in that first meeting. And people will say, well, I can't let him on my grounds because his favorite color is blue and my favorite color is red. And that's not in alignment. If we were meant to be in alignment, our favorite colors would be the same. And the problem is, we'll filter people out over the stupidest things when we first meet them. And like I said, this could be for friendship, for other things too. And then what happens is because we filtered so many people out, we now have this scarcity mindset. And we have the handful of people we've let into our grounds. So we let them run rampant. We let them go everywhere because we don't have much choice. And so, sadly, this is also, he got drunk and I saw that side of him and he threw me down the stairs, but I'm not going to cut him out because he has a good heart and he has some good things, But, if I met him on a first date and he had the wrong favorite color, I wouldn't have let him into my life. Anyway, so that kind of leads to my question. And I don't want us to miss Mike's question about what do you think is the first thing to test in yourself? I think that's a great question too. But we talk a lot about who controls in our castle. Oh, I guess quick other thing too. We talked about the king and the two and whatever. I think the key is turning the cards over pretty quickly, but keep in mind, in order to see your king, one, it helps to know what a king looks like. Because if you're just sitting there flipping through, if you don't know what your king looks like, you're kind of wasting your time. And second of all, you've got to go just slow enough that you could see, is this a king? If you're turning them over before you've even seen what they are, this kind of gets into that filtering too fast. Oh, sorry, wrong favorite color, you're out kind of situation.
Yep.
But anyway, so this gets, I've been thinking a lot about the castle. And, and I'm thinking, just inviting you to the castle, so not necessarily anywhere specific, but you've been invited out off the grounds into the castle. For most people, that moment is a very special moment when you invite them in and you decide to give them that kind of access in your world. And we've talked a lot about, you're allowed to decide who comes in. And I think a lot of times as givers, we let too many people in. We've got soft hearts. We want everybody to think we love them and, bring them in too fast. But I guess my question is, how do we respond? There are other situations that could happen. For instance, we invite them into the castle and they decide they don't want to come in. Or another situation is they invite us into their castle and they might even be good people, but there's a good reason why. Maybe they just don't have healthy boundaries, maybe, whatever it may be. You can't go in there. You still want to be on the grounds. They're still good enough to hang out on their grounds, but you aren't ready to take that next step. And you see the honor of the invite. What are the best ways to respond in both of those scenarios when somebody doesn't want to come in when we invite them in, or we're getting invited in, but we know it's not the right decision?
Whee! Okay. Second hour rules are in place. I answer last. So who has some answers for Holly?
So the question was, what do we do if we are getting invited in? That was, and what it would.
So, two questions. So we invite them into our world.
Okay.
And they decide they don't want to be that much in our lives.
Okay.
They don't want that level of intimacy with us. Or the flip side is they're inviting us into their world and they're giving us, more of a place of honor. But
Okay.
they may be good people, but we're not ready to be that close to them for whatever reason.
Ah, Holly. Oh my God. I love when you talk, girl. I just your questions give me chills. They're so good. What do you do? I think, at least from my perspective, at almost 39, I think, at least at this point, I've have a much better relationship with myself than by far I ever did in my 20s and in my early 30s. And I think understanding much more now who I want to spend my time with, who I want to get to know more, and feeling that physical response of, oh, I like this person, whether friend or if there was somebody else. I mean, thinking if I'm single, so let me clarify, but I like this person. Let me lean in a little bit more and lean in a little bit more. And if not, trusting myself to go, I don't know what it is, but there's something there that's missing. And I could have always told you that there was something there or that there wasn't. And when I was inviting somebody in and they didn't want to come in, I took it very, very personally. And I also went to my very harsh thinking and my very limited thinking of, it must be something that's not physically attractive, or that maybe I wasn't physically attractive and nice enough. So that's where I would get often held up. Understanding that now and having more self-awareness of saying, I like this version that I am, and I'm sharing that with people. And if that's not for them, that's okay. But also realizing there are plenty of people that are not for me, and they're like, hey, come be our friends. And I'm like, thanks. No, I'm good. So I think just really understanding and feeling what feels good to you and leaning in a little bit, and also noticing what doesn't feel so good and saying, can't explain it, but this just doesn't feel right. That being said, noticing the difference, if it's on you or if it's on them. My big thoughts.
Awesome answers. Who else has something to add to that? Anybody? Because I got lots of answers for this one. Well, if nobody's going to jump in, maybe something I'll say spark this. The filtering, understand, isn't the. I'll back this up to with the Triple P protocol. One of the tools that I give my clients is a 1-year moratorium on being in a dedicated relationship, which gives you that easy access out. It doesn't mean that you're like, you wore a blue shirt this time, psst, never want to see you again. It's, you date them, you go out and have fun with them. You go out on a date, even though they were dumb enough to wear a blue shirt. Who wears a blue shirt? I mean, whatever. But you go out with them, A, because you deserve to go out. B, to find out what you like about them, what you don't like about them, to build up your journal. That's why the journal is so important, because it's a listing, a visual, cognitive record of values and criteria to make sure that you know what to test for, why the results are important to you, and where you want to place them in your kingdom when you have completed a thorough test on them. And you do this not in your castle, you have your own little classroom, we'll call it, outside of the castle. And not to be too graphic, but if you're over the age of 18 and you're single, there can be a bedroom in the classroom because you're an adult. That's your option. If the night's going well, you're having an amazing time, and he checks off enough good stuff, enjoy life. Life is short. But again, using the option of the 1 year. And it doesn't mean you're going out and you're banging everyone that takes you to supper. You're going out, whether you have a date with someone or alone, to go out and live life full throttle, brick on the throttle, hanging on, screaming and like a 5-year-old, and taking pictures and having a great time. Because you could be the one deciding, you know what? Nobody knows me here. Great song. I'm going out in the middle of the dance floor and I'm going to dance all by myself because I want to dance. Don't care. Those that know me know what this means. And you just live. And if some dude comes out there and dances with you out of the blue, never met him before, you dance. And when you get a chance to talk, you use the trifecta. ABT. And if he's worth talking to, you talk. Yes, that too. So I hope that helps a little bit. That's where my one client finally got the aha is she was kind of joking, but kind of not. 100 dates in 100 days. Even if she goes out by herself. She's going to dress up like she's going out on a date. She's going to have as much flip. I'm a little jealous, I ain't going to lie. But because she is going to have some fun. And whoever wants to come with her gets to. And any guy she's around will be tested. Not, are you my king? They may be married. She finally gets it. Young, old, single, married, gay, straight, doesn't matter. She is now gathering as much intel and information and living the entire time she's doing it and flipping cards as fast as she can. She's not taking the card going, you look like an 8, and throwing it in the trash can. Here are the cards that I flipped and laying them all out. Why was this one a 2? What made this one a 10? Why wasn't that 10 a jack instead? Oh, I thought this was a 10, but when I started testing deeper the second or third time we went out, they ended up being a 7. The one that I thought was a 2 was having a bad week. Actually turned out to be a 9. Cool person, added to my tribe, not my king, but got some skills for the tribe, they get to hang around. The one that showed himself, promised he was a king, then slipped to a 10, and then one night really took down his mask and showed he was a 5. That's the ABT, that's the triple P, that's the all of that stuff wrapped into one. Because in exposing yourself to that many people, you're going to find a choice few that are allowed inside the city walls, a choice few that are actually allowed at the head table for the parties. And with any luck, you'll find that one that deserves the private chambers and not the one in the classroom. Does that help?
Oh, yes, it does. It brings up a follow-up question I have for the group. And I know Mike's been putting some great stuff in the chat that should probably be read too. But so I'm just thinking about when it comes to finding our tribe, our perfect person, anybody, I'm thinking about SMART goals, and then also the idea of goals should be efforts-based rather than results-based. So in other words, meaning I know I for sure could follow up on this because it's a goal having to do with my effort. And I don't, it doesn't matter what the result is, I met my goal. And then there's also in SMART goals, the actionable, I think that kind of relates, but also the fact that it needs to be measurable. So I guess I'm wondering, maybe workshop this with the group when it comes to meeting people, what would be a measurable efforts-based goal that I guess that other people could make too, but that I could make for dating life, for tribe, that sort of thing for the next year or so that would be reasonable and not necessarily ridiculously too hard or ridiculously too easy, that sort of thing, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Are you asking about a measurable goal as in how many friends I can make or how many I'm collecting?
So maybe it helps if I'm specific about my situation. I want it to be general advice that everybody can use, but for instance, if I said I'm going to go on X number of dates if I'm going to go on X number of dates this year, that is not an efforts-based goal for me. That would be a results-based goal because I have to actually get somebody to go on a date with me.
Mm-hmm.
So what would be an efforts-based goal similar to that I could make that is, I can look at it and say, yes, I challenged myself this year, but not so much that it's like, because I'm not getting the dates, what happens is I get in this spiral of I need to try harder, I need to try harder, I need to try harder, and then I start beating myself up, and then but I don't necessarily know what is a reasonable level I should be trying at too, So what would each of you think, if you were in that same situation, would be a goal you'd want to make for yourself?
I love your questions, Holly. Like you're my girl crush. Love your questions. They're so good. The way that I would think about it, at least this is how I'm thinking about it. So this isn't in the sense of a relationship. This is in the sense of my business. I am trying so many different things. And by trying, I mean, I'm in this area. I'm in this area. I'm in this area. I'm in this area. So I think TJ would call them putting nets out in the water. How many nets do you have in the water? That is when I look at that and I think of, okay, how many people did I talk to? How many people did I make contact with? What other efforts have I put out there in the intention of results coming back to me? I don't have great control over the results. I have an idea of what I would like, but once it's out there, it's out there. And one thing that I came up with today, and I pretty sure Gabby Bernstein was in my head and she was going, God is my publisher. God is my publisher. And I was like, the universe is my scheduler. The universe is going to be filling my calendar. when I look at that, I go, I'm doing as much as I can. And if I can look back at my day and go, was there something else I should have done that I didn't get to because I was procrastinating? And if it's a yes, great. I write it down. If it's no, and saying, I'm doing as much as I can for the time that I have available right now, great. I can acknowledge it. And that way I'm noticing the efforts, because I've done a beautiful job with my life of making sure any effort that I was putting in, I was diminishing. And I would cut it down and I would, yeah, but so did everybody else. And I kind of compare it to that. When I bring it back to myself of going, the efforts that I'm putting out, am I doing what I can? Is this helpful to me? Noticing what is helpful has been really good in giving me feedback and being able to pay attention to that. So if I'm thinking about it from a dating perspective, am I doing my best to be open and willing to meet new people? Am I meeting new people at work? Am I going up and introducing myself? One thing that I would do, especially because I know you're in the medical field and you go in and out of places, I make the intention to go up to people. Hi, how are you? How's your day? I'm Lenora. I'm with this company. Is there anything I need to know? That's intentionally making connection with somebody else. They turn into my best friend. If they turn into somebody else, who knows? That person will then know somebody else, though. That person will then know somebody else. So that is something that I did. I connected with somebody online. So maybe I made a dating profile. That was something else that I did. I told people that, yes, I'm wanting to meet new people and I'm looking for groups. And I went on a Facebook group and I started to connect with more people. I take those as all, this is an effort I'm putting in. I get a check mark. This is the effort that I'm putting in. How it comes back, is it, am I getting anything from that net? If I assess it in a month or if I assess it in 2 months, that's a different story. And that would take time to evaluate. But that's where I'm thinking of what you had shared and what you were asking. What are the efforts that I'm putting in and how can I notice? Would also notice the efforts you are putting in and don't rob yourself of the efforts that you're making, because they're so important. And allowing yourself to say, I did that 2 weeks ago. I might not have done that, but I did that today and I'm happy about that. And honoring that about yourself and being respectful about it toward yourself.
Awesome points. Mike.
Well, we'll give this a try. I am here at McDonald's. There's going to be people in the background. Sorry about that. It's kind of where I'm at. Um, so one of the things that come to mind is it's not really the number of people that you meet, because that's something that's out of your control. That you have to put the effort out and just know that you're taking advantage of the opportunities as they come and having room in yourself to be able to take advantage of that. I think when we get too tied up in numbers or ourselves or the small things, we're not looking up around us to see who's around us to interact with. One of the fun games that I do is I go shopping at Walmart. I'm a Walmart guy. I'm saying I can get my oil changed and all that other stuff. Whatever. But when I shop for groceries, um, start in the fruit section, and if there's something that I can make eye contact, someone that I can make eye contact with, then I'll like say hi or do a nod. And then when we get to the bread aisle, because you kind of move through Walmart kind of the same way, everyone kind of does, and we see each other again, I'll be like, are you like following me? And then 3 hours later, it's like, hey, did you get my Christmas card? How's everything doing? But just kind of create a game in social mixed environments to just learn how to talk to people and have fun with that. By the time I get to the dairy aisle, then I'm like, you know, whatever. it's all spontaneous, and you kind of ask them open-ended questions to kind of play into the game. Married, not, doesn't matter. You're just communicating with people. And that is such an amazing feeling. I'll run 3, 4 people at a time going through this whole pattern. And that's my little game. And it helps with my confidence in interactions with people. And it helps, just kind of make everyone's day, especially when you see around the corner and you see someone there and they look at you with that little anticipatory look and you let them lead in the jest. Those are the fun ones. So try that out, see how it goes. And you know what? You had a great day. You brighten someone else's day. And to me, that's kind of fun. So there you go.
Yeah. Great input. And there we have our lovely Fran joining us. Put a smile on my face. Awesome. Anybody else got a solution for Holly quick before I jump in? Yes, no. The one thing, what's your outcome? When you're meeting people, when you're going out, when you're asking about these metrics, sometimes it can be as simple as practicing saying hi to people. If that's an accomplishment, that's a measurable accomplishment. How many random people did I say hi to? How many random people was I able to have even if it's a 2-minute discussion about nothing? Oh, I see you're picking sour cream. What's your favorite sour cream recipe? Oh, that sounds really good. I should try that. And if you never ever see them again, you manage to strike up a short conversation. If that's your outcome and if that's your measurable. If it could be how many people at the end of the month can I remember names and where I met them? Oh, I met this person named Mary at Home Depot. And here's what stood out about him. And sometimes that is the beginning, the start, the practice to getting to being able to flip the cards. And you guys have heard me say this, and it was in one of the trainings. You're one event away from completely changing your life. One hello, one anything. But you have to get out there. You know, I got people that, man, I wish I could win the lottery. If I could just win the lottery, my life would be completely different. Oh yeah, I agree. So, where's your favorite place to buy tickets? Well, I don't buy them. I'm not into gambling. I'm just saying. Well, if you're going to win the lottery, I hate to break it to you, but you win a lot quicker if you buy a ticket. If that's your outcome.
Thank you for that feedback. Great. If it helps anybody too, if you want to know what I have tried, if anybody's watching this and is in a similar situation, it may not have worked for me, but I will say I had some of my friends that were also struggling in similar ways. 100% of those who went with me are now married. I'm the only one that's not. So some of the goals I've tried, I tried, I need to meet 10 new people every single week. I did that for a year. And then after that, we upped it to I need to make physical contact with 5 new people every single week. I also tried on the dating app, swiping up is what this dating app means match. So I would just every single day for a couple hours swipe up, swipe up, swipe up, don't even look at the profile. And then if they did match, I had to send them a message first. And I will say it took 2 years, but I did finally actually get a date out of that. So even I got a date. And we dated for a whole month. But so that stuff does work. But I will say I love the idea. I haven't tried the learning names and stuff. So I think I'm gonna add that to it. But yeah, lots of great feedback. I think I have been a little bit too focused on metrics. I think I have. So yeah, but it is important for me to have a number because then I can say, yes, I at least, because if I'm not getting the date, I can at least meet my number, if that makes sense. So that's more what the metric is about, is giving myself a win that's guaranteed as long as I do the effort. But thank you. Great feedback, everybody.
Cool. I guess if you're satisfied with the answers you got, then the table's open for another question or topic. If somebody has something they can offer up for the group. Come on, triple tears. You know what's going. Yeah, I thought I saw. Come on, Fran.
I was thinking that, look, again, I apologize for coming in late on this conversation, but just enjoying those interactions, especially when you're doing the metrics of, saying hello to 10 new people, just enjoying the people for enjoying the people without any other agendas can increase the quality, improve the quality of your life considerably. I think it's just so important to try and kick yourself out of your comfort zone and out of your, not me. And it's okay to be picky about who you get to know more or closer. And yeah, you can say no and enjoy yourself more. I think the art of enjoying yourself is something we could all work on. Any comments about enjoying yourself?
I've got a question for you, Fred, because I love that. I just had this random thought that popped in my head when you said that. Is there a way to find a way to enjoy rejection? I know that may sound kind of bizarre, but I think that there probably is a truth to that. I'm just wondering.
Well, I read a story from Chloe Madanis. She set one of her dating challenge people who was terrified of rejection a task that he had to, again, working in the metrics, his goal was to be rejected by either 10 or 50, I think it might have been 50 people a week, just as a matter of, getting the numbers up and desensitizing him to rejection. So one of his practices was to go to a shopping center and stand at the bottom of an elevator and ask everybody who came down that he liked the look of for a date. And, he was notching his numbers off and getting his tick, 1 rejection, 2 rejections. And eventually some gorgeous lady said yes. And he ended up marrying her. So, going for the enjoying rejection or desensitizing to rejection, there's a lot of really good stuff there.
I am so glad you brought that up. That is one of the major trainings for direct sales, is change your look of what you're going for. So many people, well, I've got to get 10 yeses this month to meet the quota. And when they change it to, on average, I have to go through 9 no's to get a yes, I have to get 9 no's as quick as possible. And they start racing for the no's. And even if they go through 18 no's, they're getting excited because that means there's 2 yeses coming back to back. And that's when the whole perspective flips.
Another thing about no is that sometimes in general life, perhaps not so much in the dating field, a no can mean a not yet, or
Yes.
that you've actually just planted a seed and somebody's immediately reacted, no way. However, you've actually planted a seed with that request and question. And especially when it comes to things like work environments and women requesting, help with either flexible hours or creche support, the immediate response is, no way, we can't afford to do that. That's just off the table. But however, 5 years down the track, sometimes it has actually changed either with the flexibility or with the creche. So, no's can be really good. They can be planting the seed.
And sometimes no is simply a request for more information. I'm not sold yet. I need more information.
I just want to pop in on this one, and it might be super, super silly, especially when it comes to no's. So even when I was talking earlier about putting so many things out and trying so many things, so many different things, eventually something will stick. So I don't know if you've ever heard of pasta. When people test pasta, they'll throw it at the wall to see if it's ready, and eventually it'll stick. Not the best one, but it is one that makes me laugh. Eventually, collect enough no's, you will get that yes, for sure. So then you can also think, and this is something that I've thought a lot about over the last couple of years, I've collected a lot of no's, and I'm really, really, really looking forward to the yeses.
Yeah. And if you change your mind, if you flip the idea of what it means to it's research. It's not about me. It's not about the product. It's simply research. I've figured out, you guys have heard me reference WD-40 many times. What does the name mean? Water displacement recipe number 40. It could have been WD-38 if they'd have figured it out a few times sooner. And I'm sure a number of us would have preferred it to be WD number 1 if I was going to make it, because why would I keep doing 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 40? But then you hear the story about the light bulb. How many tries did it take to get a light bulb that worked long enough to be considered a success? Rumor has it it's like 1,000. Who has the perseverance to go to 1,000? And when they said, well, we heard you failed 1,000 times, he goes, no, I didn't fail. I found 1,000 ways it didn't work. It was research. People that know me know that I didn't get married till I was 53. I found lots of ways that dating didn't work. I ain't gonna lie, I had some fun along the way. I had some heartbreaks along the way. And in the end, I had to look in the mirror and go, what was the common denominator? Oh, that was me. Yeah. Which is why I came up with Triple P, because I figured out lots of ways that it didn't work. And working as a bartender, I got to learn from a lot of other people about ways they didn't make it work. So whatever it takes for you to reframe it and make it palpable, enjoyable, call it research, call it flipping cards, call it whatever it takes, reach out to friends, do stuff like this. But in the end, live while you're alive. Fran.
I would like to, if you haven't already covered this, and about making friends with yourself, dating yourself, making yourself the best person you can be, and learning to appreciate the things about yourself, even the rotten things about yourself, to enjoy them. So, we push all that under the carpet and don't want to look at it. It's embarrassing because it does mean maybe we've got to look at our shortcomings, but everything's a two-sided coin. Sometimes your greatest downfalls are actually your greatest assets. It's just the other side of the coin, how you use it. So making friends with self, loving self, having a relationship with yourself. And I think that's the hardest thing for any of us to do. Comments, please.
Oh, I got comments. Who wants to go first, though? Lenora.
I think that's such a beautiful thing that you shared, Fran. I think it's a journey for your lifetime. And I also think that it's an art. I had mentioned to Holly in the chat, and something personal that I wasn't going to share on the recording, but I will. And I had said, sitting with my younger self, however, whatever age she is, and taking time to sit with her and let her know that I love her, and really spending time with that. Even another one that I've also done, which I do find really extraordinarily powerful, is looking at myself, and even whether it's out loud or to myself, saying that I love you. And I think that moves massive mountains. And there's emotional responses that will come up as you're doing that. And I think that's a beautiful thing, because then you're also clearing stuff that you might not know about, and you're also helping things that you might not consciously know about, but it's something really deep and really powerful. And I think even in whether somebody's single or somebody's married or somebody wants to be with somebody or not to be with somebody, there are lots of ways to love people, and there's lots of ways to love yourself. That being said, nobody can love you the way that you need to be loved on a very deep level that you feel it internally. You'll have love for your significant other and love for your friends, and you'll receive that love. It's something even deeper when you find ways to fill those spaces and those voids that you might be experiencing. And I found it to be an evolution, and I think it's one that's going to keep evolving.
And I think gives you an inner glow that, again, is extremely attractive to other people. So it's a really useful thing to nurture on that side as well.
Great question. Thank you for being so vulnerable in that answer, Lenora. And I think part of the challenge that we have, especially in this day and age with all this access to technology and fake book and hearing other people's fabulous lives and all the above, we make the mistake of forgetting the person that we should be comparing ourselves to the most, which is the person we were yesterday. And doing everything you can to be better some way, somehow, than that person and stop worrying about how you measure up to the fake presentations of others, because you have to love yourself first. You cannot pour into somebody else from an empty cup.
And I think because it's so hard to do that, it's okay to do the fake it till you make it, to pretend. Even when you're saying, I love you to yourself or to your reflection, sometimes it feels so hard to do. Just go into the pretend until it will happen. But just practice in pretend until it does. It's okay.
And earlier, I know that with our time difference, a lot of people don't realize that you're on the other side of the planet. We talked about the importance of self-talk. Tonight's topics were self-talk, always be testing, and then my dating protocol, triple P. And this is right in line with self-talk. Learning how to allow that inner voice to tell you how awesome you are, and forget about, oh, that's your ego, and you can't, that's just wrong to be so full of yourself. There's a difference between being egotistical and in love with yourself. Trying to pour egotistical and ego into other people can often be the vinegar into their punch. But when you are full of love and you pour that into other people, it only magnifies and it attracts. Like you pointed out, Fran, when you have that inner glow of self-love, it draws people to you. And what is they're finally coming out. We've got all of these machines now that can measure different types of energy and things like that. What is the strongest energy coming from a person? Authenticity. Authenticity. We think that it's love. Love amplifies that energy immensely, but yet the strongest energy they've recorded many times coming from a person is one that is authentic with themselves, that believes what they're saying and does what's right with them inside.
And can I add, I don't quite know how to word this, but it's kind of aligning with Holly, because I know she has very deep spiritual beliefs. But when you align your love with divine source, however you experience that, that's when it really amps up. And when you allow that into you, not only do you feel good, but you radiate it out for other people. And that's enormously powerful with all of this stuff.
And Mike had asked a question in the chat that the people on the recording and those of you watching live don't get to see. And the question was, who here has felt when there's a void that someone is wanting you to fill? This can be scary and debilitating of your well and self energy. That is a great question. It's also something that you have to be aware of. And because I deal with so many clients in the relationship realm, I hear a lot of, I need that somebody, I need something to complete me. There's like this hole here. And when we've taken the time to figure out what they thought was a vacuum, it was self-love and it was negative self-talk that created this vacuum that was uneasy. When they were able to deal with that, clear that up, and fill that up with self-love, they no longer felt incomplete. They felt so complete that they felt that they could now help, not be a vacuum to somebody else. Mike.
Hey, one of the things that I've kind of thought about is when I call it the void, when you're kind of in between thoughts and you're kind of exhausted and you just kind of stop your mind. Where does the first place your mind goes to? And that to me has been kind of a exploration. If I find that goes to negative thoughts, if I find that it goes to self negative talk, if it goes to insecurities, if the feeling that comes to me is something uncomfortable, if there is, it's that void as a study, that uh, I guess it's interesting to me. Sorry about that, but yeah, it's just one of those things that if I'm trying to improve myself, it's the study of the void of where my mind reactively goes to in the time of a vacuum. So does that make sense?
It does, and I know that in the second hour I always let other people answer first, but we're down to 3 minutes, and I've got a squirrel just screaming at me for this answer. They did a study, and do you know what they found out about overthinking? What is the one commonality of overthinking that is a trueness to it? People only overthink on worst case scenario. They never overthink best case scenario. And yet they found it to be a trained reaction. And it can be untrained. First, you have to recognize it. Then you have to understand that it will take some work. But the people who suffered and joined Overthinkers Anonymous, that's a joke. For those of you researching Overthinkers Anonymous, there might be a group there. I don't know. I don't know that I would want to be part of it because they're all probably based on worst case scenario thinking. Maybe it's a good place for me to look for clients. I don't know. But they found when people recognize they're overthinking and they go, well, what's the worst case scenario? Okay, now what would be the best case scenario? And they start focusing on the best case scenario. The chatter stopped. Because when you're thinking about, oh, we're going to have to take a trip. Oh, but what if we blow a tire? What if the transmission falls out? What if we have a crash? Oh my gosh, what if we get there and they don't have a room for us? Oh, what if wait a minute. What would the best case scenario be? Well, what if we drive the whole way there and have an amazing fun time and we see lots of really cool things? What if we show up at the place and they upgrade us to a better room for free? What if, in your mind is going, well, we're not going to worry about that. Exactly. But in the quantum of possibilities, best case scenario has the same amount of probability as worst case scenario. the one that's most likely to happen will be the one you give the most energy to. I may be a little out there on positive thinking, but I've had some pretty cool stuff show up because of it. And Mike, you had your hand up for a bit, and then unfortunately we gotta bounce. But
One of the things that I found is if anyone has Netflix, there's a video, Headspace, Unwind Your Mind. It is an interactive video set that helps kind of a guided meditation, not only for anxiety and stress, but also for sleeping. And what I'm finding is that when I do that, I find what it's like to have a calm mind and a calm, quiet water in my world. And at least I know where to return to, and I know when I'm off course.
And these are all tools that are out there. We just need to collectively help people find them. And with that, that brings us 2 minutes past the top of the hour, which again goes by just like that when we get into the flow. But that means I have to once again, no, did I just say that? I get to thank you guys for investing your very precious commodity of time, because I'll always say it's the one thing that I cannot reproduce and hand back to you. If I could, I would, and we could spend as much time as we want to, even though time doesn't really exist. It does here in this reality on this planet. So thanks again for investing your precious commodity here on this platform. For everybody on the call, for those of you watching on YouTube, love you, Mom. I appreciate every single one of you. And if you're watching the recording and you've watched it all the way through to the end, thank you so much. Speaking of the recording, YouTube channel, TSWB Helps. Please do me a favor, help me out. Go on there, do all the YouTube stuff, click subscribe and ring the bell and leave comments, and then comment other people's comments, and then go back and comment on your own comments, because I just like reading the comments. I ain't gonna lie, I like that. That being said, though, time for me to go. I love you all. Take care. Go out in the world, make it a better place. Live life to the fullest. I want to hear all about it next week. Until then, take care.